Meet BigPanda, Biggy AI, the interactive AI that's purpose-built for incident responders. Powered by BigPanda's AI-powered IT Ops and incident management platform, Biggy streamlines troubleshooting for incident management by aggregating data such as observability tools, service history, informal and institutional knowledge, and more. It transforms this complex data into actionable insights, delivering rapid, clear incident summaries, answering all your incident-related questions, offering step-by-step remediation guidance, detailed postmortems, and more, all seamlessly integrated into Slack or Microsoft Teams. On average, Biggy saves 30 minutes per task or action, enabling more efficient incident resolution. Biggy eliminates manual toil by providing real-time insights and automating critical steps of the incident management process. Ask Biggy general questions about your infrastructure and the issue at hand, using your natural language to get answers quickly. Use Biggy to manage an incident, including creating an incident channel with your key stakeholders to automatically generate the following: a summary of the active incident, including priority and impacted services, suspected root cause, an ITSM ticket, live bridge call link, and current action items. Troubleshoot to view assignment team recommendations based on similar incidents, as well as suggested remediation steps. After an incident ends, Biggy conducts post-mortem analysis for you, drafting detailed after-action reports and concise stakeholder summaries, customizable for your organization. Biggy AI, an interactive AI product tailored to provide rapid situational awareness, automate investigation workflows, and accelerate incident resolution.
All right, well, hi, and welcome to the webinar titled Surface and Automate Incident Insights to Accelerate Investigation with Biggy AI. We are excited to have you joining us today. A couple of quick housekeeping items before we begin. There are several tabs underneath the viewer screen. All of you are currently in listen-only mode. If you have a question, please submit your questions in the Ask a Question tab. We're going to do our best to answer as many questions as possible during and after the presentation if we don't get to them in time. We also have additional assets under the Attachment tab, so please feel free to download those. If your screen appears blurry, you have the ability to increase the resolution using the gear icon in the bottom right corner. And lastly, the on-demand version of this webinar will be available following this session. It's going to be the same URL, so you can use that to listen again or share with any colleagues or friends. So moving on to our agenda, during this webinar, we will be focusing on a key part of the incident lifecycle, investigation. We will cover the costly challenges incident management teams face, how Gen AI and specifically Biggy AI can step in to streamline and improve investigation, and add quantifiable value by connecting teams and processes together within your current workflows. So we will then share an interactive demo so that you can see Biggy AI in action, and time permitting, we will also open the conversation up to some Q&A. Our speakers joining us today will be Travis Carlson. He's the Senior Product Manager for AI Products, and Dave Helms, who's the Senior Sales Engineer at BigPanda, who will be joining us a little later on to share several use case demos for us. Okay, so to kick us off, I want to have a conversation with Travis, who is here to share some stories and experiences directly from customers about the challenges faced before the use of Biggy AI, and give us a deeper understanding of the value Biggy can bring to your organization to make a lasting impact on how teams collaborate and specifically investigate and resolve incidents. So hello, Travis.
Hey, Ellie.
Hey, so we've got a cost shared on the screen here, and we pulled this from a recent EMA research study. And some may be familiar with this average, or it may seem surprising, but the average cost of an outage for an enterprise is just under $24,000 per minute. And I mean, come on, that's a lot of money. And this really emphasizes the importance of taking action, as well as really the impact of every single delay that occurs during incident resolution. And frankly, it can also be really frustrating for incident managers and their leadership to have these costly and really time-sucking operational inefficiencies throughout incident investigation. So, Travis, I want to turn it over to you. Can you share with us, what's driving these costs up by the minute? I mean, what are the challenges incident management teams are facing during investigation that's causing these costly delays?
Yeah, so there's really three key challenges that we see that incident management teams are facing. It's the manual toil involved in dealing with these incidents, the lack of context, and just a lot of this reactive nature that teams are taking, not being proactive. And so, if I just kind of double click on each of those, when I talk about the manual toil, what we're seeing is it's really hard for teams to quickly identify, engage the right stakeholders. An incident happens and they're scrambling looking for who do I engage, who do I involve to help me work this incident. And oftentimes, incident teams are also relying on tribal knowledge, things that get lost in chat messages, ITSM tickets, bridge calls that happened 6 months ago where you discussed some key detail. And if you weren't there, you missed out on that key information. And there's also a lot of work that the teams go through during an incident to keep people informed, to keep people up to date on what's happening, taking notes, transcribing the call manually. And that's just a huge drain on resources for any organization. There was actually one organization that we worked with, and they were telling us that during their major incidents, for their SRE team, they actually would assign two SREs to a major incident. One of them was kind of actively troubleshooting, leading the incident management process, and the other one was just there to transcribe what was happening, take notes, send out updates, and that's a huge inefficiency for them. But it was what they had to do to kind of make their process work. In terms of lack of context, what we see is that getting that past incident knowledge, it's super manual, it's time consuming. Someone has to go out and find these critical details that are often buried in, knowledge based articles, run books, the ITSM tickets. They've got to go find that in all those different systems and pull it all together so they can get a sense of what's happening. And not only that, when incidents happen, oftentimes changes are involved. And so being able to investigate the changes to figure out what's going on is hard without having that kind of centralized somewhere and easily searchable. And what we see is, 85% of incidents are caused by changes. But if you don't have a clear view into that and a quick way to assess the impact and find those changes, it's really inefficient, really error prone. And the final piece was that reactivity that teams are often facing. They're not being proactive. They're often spending a lot of time during an incident waiting for information rather than having proactive insights that help them move forward. And then we even heard from a lot of customers that, oftentimes they might have to skip some of those important kind of post-incident documentation steps, just because it's too kind of burdensome for them. And so what happens is they miss out on those key learnings and that information, which means the next time this happens, rather than being proactive about it or maybe even solving that underlying issue, they're just going to react the same way again 3 months, 6 months down the road when this happens. There was actually one large financial institution we talked to, and they specifically told us that they only conducted kind of their after action reviews for their highest priority incidents. Even though they'd want to do others, that's all they could manage to do. And even that took them days to complete with multiple team members. And this leads to a lot of gaps in the learning, and then you keep repeating the same mistakes.
Right. And it's kind of just grasping at straws. I mean, these inefficiencies, clearly machine generated data has grown beyond the limits of human scalability. And it's hindering the ability of incident managers and also L1 operations and service desk teams alike to triage and investigate those incidents effectively. And today more than ever, IT leaders are looking towards AI. You see it everywhere to solve for these challenges, right? And here on the screen, you'll see data pulled from a recent EMA report that spoke to over 300 IT leaders that was just asking them the question, what's the most valuable Gen AI capability for you? And, what would be the most, what would help you be more successful and streamlined during the incident management process? And this is really what we're seeing. So essentially, it's the immediate understanding of context and impact. the identification and engagement of people needed for that assignment being a key piece of that for action, and a knowledge base, or a hub of information to keep people involved and really up to speed depending on when they come in to the incident, and continually informed with the most relevant information. And to automate this before Gen I, it was essentially an impossibility. So it makes sense that this is what they're seeking, but it was just, it couldn't be automated to what we're now seeing today. And these truly are the requirements for a high operational efficiency during investigation. And really, when it shakes out, like depending on how manual or automated you are, it's going to directly impact your service reliability. So thankfully, though, all of these needs that you're seeing here are supported, automated, and streamlined using Biggy AI's capabilities. So let's transition back to you, Travis, to just help us understand some more product value specifics to showcase here.
Yeah, thanks, Ellie. So, if we think about what is BigPanda, Biggy AI, so it is a product that we have, and it's really focused on helping to uncover hidden data that exists in lots of different places and aggregate all of that knowledge together, and it transforms it into purpose-built insights. And it's all interactively delivered in easy to understand answers where your teams are already working in places like Slack and Microsoft Teams. And the goal of this is really to help make your teams to be able to make faster, smarter decisions at scale using all of these AI powered insights, and also to help automate certain parts of their kind of the workflow. Let Biggie do, as it says here, that heavy lifting for them. And what that results in is improved productivity and helping your teams to really deliver that exceptional customer experience and service reliability that you're focused on. And there's kind of three key things that I would say about Biggie is really it's purpose built for incident management. That's kind of the use case that we focused on and really put a lot of energy and effort into. It's also has a lot of integrations to your existing workflow, so you can leverage Biggie as a part of your existing workflow within incident management. And Biggie isn't static; it's continuously learning and improving. So as you give it more knowledge and feedback, Biggie's going to get smarter and better and continue to give more and more insight and information to your team.
Yeah. And I just want to pause with you really quickly, because I want to call out the elephant in the room, right? And clarify something with you really quickly. As you know, I mean, there's a lot, and that number is growing. A lot of AI tools out in the market these days. So why Biggie AI over another Gen AI offering? Can you share with us or help us understand how Biggie is differentiated?
Yeah, no, it's a really great question. So, I think there are a lot of different tools on the market right now, and part of it's selecting the right tool for what it is you're doing. There's a lot of tools that are, I would say, more generic AI, so they're not purpose built for a specific use case. The other thing that we've seen with some of the other AI tools, even within the incident management space, is that they're very specific and siloed to the data that exists within that platform, meaning that it's not looking holistically at what's happening. And one of the key differences for Biggie is that we're pulling in data from all across your IT ecosystems. We're pulling in your ITSM data, your runbooks, KB articles, chat history, all of that information to get that holistic view. And what I would say is that Biggie is really focused on facilitating that quick data-driven decision making for faster incident resolution, leveraging both machine and human-generated data. And this really enhances the information sharing that's going on during active incidents among your service desk L1 analysts, your L2 support team, your L3 engineers, and really helps those teams to achieve their service reliability goals more efficiently. And there's kind of three key ways that we're doing that. It's through streamlining the incident response. Biggie's getting all the teams together in one place so that they can work together, and Biggie can provide that immediate situational awareness so we can get to that faster resolution. It's also enabling self-service troubleshooting. So it's helping your IT teams as they're working with customers, working on incident, giving them answers from all the knowledge that exists, helping them know, how do I remediate this? Who should I involve? What teams typically resolve these issues, to help you get to that quickly. The second piece is around augmenting the team's knowledge. you think about, all the different tasks and things that are happening. It's automating certain tasks like incident summaries, the stakeholder engagement where you need to send out communications to different stakeholders, drafting those really important but often difficult or time-consuming post-mortem documents. And it's also helping to analyze, different data in real time, for example, change data. And it's looking to help flag potential risks before they cause incidents and really helping to kind of augment that. And that actually flows into our third one around being proactive and preventing future issues. Really not just waiting till a change happens, but how do we look at it before the change occurs, predict that risk, and help flag those risky changes to your change control teams to really make sure that they're catching those and making sure that they rework or kind of further review those changes to make sure you don't generate incidents. And the last thing, just in terms of being proactive, is really kind of this AI-driven remediation, which is again helping speed up that resolution time. In that vein, we were working with one of our customers, and they actually initially came to us saying, "Hey, we need some help assessing the risk of plan changes," and that's actually when we built the change risk prediction. And they are a heavy user of this feature, and they've actually told us that they recently had a change. They were about to approve it. They said, "Hey, someone should check Biggy." When they checked Biggy for this change, Biggy immediately came back and said, "Hey, this is a very high risk change because in the past, about a year or two ago, you had something like this. It caused a major revenue impacting outage. You probably need to stop and review this." And they took a look, and sure enough, this was actually going to potentially cause that same outage to happen. But by catching it early, they adjusted the change. They did it during a maintenance window, and at the end of the day, they avoided a major outage.
Wow, I mean that's pretty incredible. And to almost be at the point, you're in this routine and we're about to submit this change, and then now that's starting to become more ingrained. Let's ask Biggy, and then for it to unveil something like that, that's pretty big. I mean, these results, I mean, we're seeing it from, you gave a customer example. We're seeing these results from, being echoed by other customers with the value that Biggy's bringing here. And one statistic we have up on the screen here, the average customer using Biggy AI is also saving 30 minutes per task or action. And as we remember from earlier, when an outage is happening, that costs almost $24,000 per minute. So when you're investigating a critical incident, 30 minutes, that's a lot of money, that's a lot of time, and could potentially be translating to over $700,000. I mean, that's something that's extremely important to look at. And our customers are seeing that value from time saved. They're seeing it in the cost savings. They're seeing it in an increased service reliability, as well as just overall operational efficiency. So, Travis, I mean, you're kind of on a roll with sharing these use cases here. So, can you share a few additional specific customer use cases for Biggy AI that we haven't already covered here?
Yeah. So actually, just to kind of double click on this quote that's here on the screen.
Yeah.
So, what we heard from this customer in particular was that when they started using Biggie, what would happen is that now that their processes, they would actually whenever there was an incident, someone would pull up Biggie. The whole team would look at it, and they would say, "Hey, Biggie, help me troubleshoot whatever this certain incident they were looking at." And they would sit there and look at what came back, and that really helped them because instead of spending a lot of time trying to figure out, hey, has this happened before? Who was involved? What's the priority? What things are impacted? What steps did we take to resolve it? Biggie actually pulls all of that information for them, puts it at their fingertips so that they can look at that. And then they looked at that together, and they would essentially formulate a game plan. And what they told us is, yeah, sometimes it saves us 10 or 15 minutes. Sometimes it saves us 2 hours because it gets us right to the issue and tells us exactly how to remediate it. So that's become a big piece of their process now. Every time they deal with an incident, saving them that time and helping them to organize the response that they have.
That's great. So yeah, I mean, we've been really going kind of deep in different like use cases and capabilities, but I want to take a quick step back before we transition over to a demo and just have this slide up here to provide a broader view of the different capabilities that Biggy has and the reach that it has at different stages of the incident lifecycle. So this will give hopefully a more digestible view of some of the features and capabilities that we're talking about, and where within, pre-incident all the way to post, where does Biggy touch that challenge, overcome that challenge, and help really streamline your processes. So wanted to have that up there for a second. And thank you so much, Travis. That was really insightful. Really great information about the value that Biggy AI brings. And now I want to actually transition it over to Dave, who's on the call with us here. And he's going to walk us through an interactive demo of Biggy. And so he's going to highlight 4 common use cases here. He'll show us a managed incident channel and how to automate a channel summary. He'll show us how to instantly troubleshoot an incident with Biggy, automating after action reports, and then finally how Biggy analyzes change data for change risks predictions, which was a huge use case that Travis shared earlier. So hi, Dave. I'm going to hand it over to you to take it away.
All right. Thank you, Ellie. Are you able to see my screen here with my Biggy AI? Perfect. So really excited to walk through this with everyone today. Obviously, I am showing you Slack, and that is where Biggy lives. Biggy lives as a plugin within Slack or Teams, and brings that native experience that everyone is used to with their collaboration tools, and brings this treasure trove of data that Travis just described. So when we think about, that graphic that Ellie shared, $24,000, I think, per minute when we talk about major enterprise outages. So the one thing we don't have a lot of is time. Fortunately, the one thing that we do have a lot of is organizational knowledge, but it is scattered all over the place, right? It's in our Google Drive, our Confluence, our previous ServiceNow tickets. And so what we're going to showcase here in this first scenario is, how do we bring all that organizational knowledge together to streamline this incident remediation process? So what I'm showing here is an incident that was created by the BigPanda core platform. So as you're probably aware, BigPanda aggregates and correlates these noisy alerts that come from monitoring tools. And it's taken, it looks like 15 different alerts, and has shared this into my Slack incident notifications channel. And it's already used its generative AI summary feature to summarize all of that technical data into a useful outage impact. So I can see that I have some critical issues in production. There's 500 errors. There's a lot of different hosts and devices that are impacted here. And so I have to make a pretty quick decision as an operator. Do I acknowledge that I'm working on this? Do I just resolve it and say, I don't think this is important? Or do I need to escalate this and start a channel, get that war room together and get people working together to get this resolved, hopefully before customers start to notice? In this case, BigPanda has a suggested action. You need to start a channel for a major incident. This is a P1. This is a big deal. And so Biggy gives me the option here to go ahead and start that channel. And as I do, you'll notice a few options here. I've already gotten the pre-populated title and a suggestion for the channel name. And this is based off of that AI summary that the BigPanda core platform has already provided. Again, BigPanda detected this as the P1, and it summarized this through that AI analysis. And the next challenge is, who do I need to invite to this bridge call or to this war room effort? And typically in an enterprise scenario, it's everyone, after we blame the network, of course. But in this case, since we have all of this great context from these alerts, all the enrichment that we've gotten from things like the CMDB, and all of this previous history that we have from these ServiceNow tickets that have been worked in the past, or I say ServiceNow, any ITSM tickets that have been worked in the past, we can see exactly what's being impacted currently by this infrastructure outage. There's the checkout app server and this Envy backend. And I happen to know that Travis is actually on call today. So I'm going to make sure that he gets paged as well. We want to bring him in as he's owning the major incident team today. So I'm also going to have Biggy AI create an ITSM ticket to track this incident and create a Zoom bridge call. If we do need to get on a bridge call and have a proper war room for this, we'll have that waiting for us. So as I click submit, we're going to see a couple things here. One, we've got that new channel. So Biggy AI has created our new channel, and we'll probably start to see some people join since I just paged out a handful of teams. The other thing we're going to see here is that we've taken all of that alert and incident data, the AI summaries, all the context that we already had. We've brought that over into the new channel. And we've brought in now that Zoom meeting that Biggy just created, the Jira incident ticket that Biggy just created. And you'll see this banner here, this custom dynamic banner that's going to show any customers that we're aware of that are currently being impacted by this outage, as well as any services or applications that are being impacted. Now, these are services that came through those alerts from monitoring. And as I'm talking about it, I can already see that people are joining and talking about some other applications and services that are being impacted. So we just saw, SSO, Ignite, PeopleSoft. And so where's this coming from? So as people are joining, and they're probably looking at their own monitoring screens, they're going and looking at, Logic Monitor and App Dynamics and Splunk and these other tools that from their perspective are giving them more detail from an app perspective or from a network perspective. And as it looks like Annie just saw that Ignite, Vista Bookings, HGS, PeopleSoft, so their application performance monitoring is noticing a lot of applications that are having issue. So as she's updating that, that's updating our dynamic banner. And the important thing about this is that what we see in bridge calls and these war rooms is that as people join, they're coming in from their lunch break, right? Or they're coming off of another call and they're joining these calls. Every time somebody joins, they have to be caught up. What are we working on? What's impacted? What have we tried from a root cause analysis perspective? We can skip that. Right? We don't need to now catch everyone up when they join because everything that's being added from this conversation is also being added to these dynamic banners. Another thing that Biggy AI is doing in the background here is that a lot of times we're going to see people sharing screenshots from their analytics or from their specific monitoring tools. And these can be really helpful and have a lot of context when we start to look at what these different tools are saying. But in this case, Leo is likely going to have to type up or give some awareness around the context because he has some expertise in this tool. Biggy's not just looking at the text, it's scanning the images themselves. And it's going to bring that context out of the image and describe what's happening there for us. So whether you're sharing text, you're sharing screenshots from your monitoring sources, everything is now in that Biggy purview and is able to be orchestrated into this unified console. When we talk about decluttering some of the noise of these incidents, a lot of times we'll have executives, right? Or we'll have product owners that are chiming in, wanting updates. My customers are complaining. We need to get this up and running. You'll notice that I've got this major incidents channel here as well. Everything that we're doing here, everything that's getting coalesced into these banners is also getting populated here. So we can start pointing these interested stakeholders to this major incidents channel so that they can have some real-time updates and awareness of the situation. But they don't have to sit on the bridge call, right? And if they're not actively participating in it, they're able to get those updates without further cluttering that call with more noise. So again, just to demonstrate the flexibility there, we're keeping all this, keeping all this in the right place for the right stakeholders. I just saw here, it looks like Tom here is saying all services up, module restarted. So Sean restarted some module, and then we're seeing successful logins, root cause identified, identity provider connection, had stale connections. Great job. Let's monitor a bit. We can close this out. So it looks like Sean went and found some remediation step to restart something or flush a cache, did that, and it looks like everything is back online. So at this point, we are able to, we're able to close this out. So we can resolve this incident and move on about our day. I'm going to switch gears though. I did sort of gloss over the fact that somebody just chimed in here and said, hey, I'm going to restart this thing and let's see if it works. And it did. And if you're like me, you're a little skeptical. Like, how often do we just try the first thing and go restart something and it magically works? Maybe. So let's switch gears here and talk about what looks like Sean was doing in the background here. And so again, Biggy is a conversational AI. And so obviously it's capable of orchestrating all of these processes and these teams and these people as it pertains to the incident management process. But there's a lot of orchestration of data that's happening here. When we think about those previous ITSM tickets that we've worked that pile up in an archive and are difficult to search, our knowledge bases, our engineering docs, those previous Slack and Teams channels, how do we take advantage of all of that unstructured organizational human knowledge that we have and start solving problems more efficiently? So in the background, Sean simply did this. Hey, Biggy, help me troubleshoot TAM SSO login failures. What Biggy's doing right now is it's going and doing a retrieval augmented generation. It's pulling the context as it pertains to TAM SSO from all of these different data sources. It's going to tell us where it found this context. I'll highlight this line here. So this found Confluence wikis, ServiceNow previous tickets, historical Slack channel conversations. And it's provided a full history of when have we seen these types of TAM SSO issues before. Well, here was a specific incident. Here was another that had SSO service outages being unavailable. And there were, here are some of the applications and services that were impacted by that. This helps to give us some context as well as some history around what we did to resolve this when it happened before. These are the teams or the individuals that were involved last time. This helps give us a clue on where that root cause could have been, right? And who has the knowledge that might help us to be able to streamline this. But ultimately, in this case, when I did that search, when I simply asked Biggy to help me troubleshoot these types of issues, well, apparently last time we did this, somebody put the remediation steps in that ServiceNow ticket. And so Biggy pulled that context and produced it looks like these two commands that we can go run on that host to restart the TAM service and flush the cache and ultimately bring that service back online. So we saw that we had some stale queues and somebody was going to go work on a deeper RCA there. But ultimately doing this, we were able to get the system up quickly, keeping our customers hopefully from even noticing, right? And keeping our executives from even joining the call because hopefully we got this done before there was a broader issue. So again, kind of taking this to the next level, Biggy's orchestrating that incident management process and getting us into those teams more efficiently with the right people. And then those people that are included have that now wealth of organizational knowledge within distinct queries that are going to get them to the exact outcomes they're looking for. So cool. We've got this TAM SSO issue resolved. We can all go about our day, right? Nope. We're going to spend the next 2 hours writing an after action report now. Fun. I know that's my favorite thing to do on a Friday afternoon. How about instead, I just point Biggy to that incident ticket that we resolved and say, Biggy, please write me an AAR. What this is going to do now is, again, it's going to go pull the context straight from that ITSM ticket. And it's going to use as a part of its parameter set a specific template that my organization uses for AAR. I know several different companies have their own format and structure. Even certain teams within one organization might have their own structure. And so Biggy can produce this exactly how you would expect it to look. And this detail is going to include all of that information that we just channeled through Biggy to work the incident straight out of that ticket. So I've got my incident ticket here. I've got the problem ticket that we created, the change that it looks like was made leading up to this incident that was more than likely the root cause. We've got that full problem statement, business impact, and we've even got some recommended actions here for our L3s, for our SMEs, to go look at these as next steps to ensure that we can harden our systems and not run into this type of problem again. Early feedback from our beta customers on this is saving at least 60 minutes writing up an AAR. Even if it doesn't get it exactly right, having this all templated and ready to go gives us that ability to get a good start, even if we might have to tweak a couple of things. So one of the other areas that Travis had mentioned was around change risk. How do we prevent these types of things from happening to begin with? Because we saw in this particular issue that there was a change that someone had made that led up to this incident. So it looks like this was a change-caused outage. How can we as an organization do better at getting ahead of that and understanding the real risk of change, not just what we think it is based on our narrow viewpoint of the interconnectedness of these systems? Well, what if Biggy could just do that change risk analysis for us? So before I go push a change through my Jira change request, I can have Biggy again go look at those incidents, go look at those previous changes, and understand what is the actual change risk before I push this to production. And so as this loads here, looks like that ran pretty quickly. I now have a full change risk prediction for LB98234. So looks like LB, I'm making some change to a load balancer for our API gateway. That sounds pretty important. Here are some historical incidents related to similar changes that we've made in the past. So this LB76812 load balancer config update actually caused connection issues for Ignite users. This is on our hotel customer portal. So this could have impacted people from checking in when they arrived for their hotel room. It's obviously a big deal that we want to avoid. Looks like another similar load balancer change caused temporary authentication failures. So this is actually very, very similar to what we just saw with that Tivoli SSO issue, that there was a change that led to SSO failures. Looks like a load balancer change could have a similar impact. So again, we've got that score calculation high, very high for incident risk. Deployment wise, medium, overall score 76%. So as Travis mentioned, this may have been expected, but if not, this would now warrant maybe a change advisory board conversation, right? Or at least further discussion with a broader team around the true scope of this risk. And maybe this is something we want to do during a planned downtime or push out until we have a better understanding. So Ellie, those are the 4 use cases that I'd really wanted to walk through today. I think, did you have any questions from anyone that we want to go through before we drop today?
Yeah. Thank you, Dave. Really appreciate it. I think we have time for 1 or 2 questions. I think maybe we can get 2 in here. So actually one is specific to change risk. So I'll start with that one and I'll just queue it up for you, Dave. So it says here, is it possible for Biggy to understand my org, how my org calculates risk and take that into account?
Yeah, so BigPanda does have a template that it begins with Biggy that takes into account a lot of best practices that we've learned over time. Commonalities that we've seen across customers and specific industries. However, it's all very configurable and customizable. So, for example, if we just used a hotel chain example there, right? There's some specific mission critical applications. If there's a change that might be affecting one of those specific applications, we would obviously want to produce a higher score for those results. And maybe add points into that category for those specific items, and that would be a use case by use case or customer by customer config. But the template that we begin with does have a lot of learned best practices.
Okay, Thank you. And Travis, I'll bring in you for the second question here to close us out. So this is asking, what data sources do you accept? So what data sources does Biggy integrate with?
Yeah, so we have a large amount of integrations that are available out of the box. Most of the, I would say, common IT systems, so things like ServiceNow, Jira, Confluence, um, various systems, PagerDuty, OpsGenie, OpsLevel, just to name a few. And in addition to that, it's also something where we can accept pretty much any type of file format. So if it's something that's more custom or unique, we can take an export from that system, whether that's in PDF, Word doc, text file, CSV, XML, JSON. Pretty much you think of the format. We can likely accept that and ingest that data and have that knowledge available as a part of Biggy's kind of knowledge repository.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And thank you to everyone here for joining our webinar. And just want to close this out and say, if you're interested in learning more about Biggy AI or really BigPanda as a whole, you can please just download some of the resources that we have available here. And you can also feel free to reach out and schedule a demo for yourself. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Travis. And we hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you.